Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the MCTAVISH Shedcast with me, Rachel McTavish. I'm delighted to be joined this evening by Carol SMILIE, who's probably best known for some of her famous TV appearances on Wheel of Fortune and Changing Rooms, and of course her brilliant performance in Strictly, and Gerry Cassidy, who's a well-known radio and TV presenter and producer as well, works with some really big names over the years. Thank you both so much for giving up your valuable time. I'm sure you are both absolutely inundated with things to do tonight.
Yeah, the diary is full.
Oh, Carol, how are you coping with lockdown? Because you've got a house full, haven't you?
I've got a real house full. I have 3 children and they're all grown up now. 2 of them live in London, 1 in Liverpool. So when this all started and we could see the way it was going, they all came back and brought 2 partners with them, which could be tricky. However, one is a professional chef. My daughter's a gin ambassador, so the garage is full of gin, and she does live sort of cocktail making classes on a thirsty Thursday on our Instagram post. So, it's not all bad, really. Can't complain.
Oh, that sounds like a really nice household. Now, on the other hand, Gerry, you are on your own in your flat there in Glasgow. Oh, how are you doing?
I know, virtual hug. It's been okay. Like, I'm in the south side of Glasgow in my wee tenement flat. I'm on my own at the moment. I did start off lockdown with my boyfriend in Dundee, and we decided to go alone for this period of time. I'm not going to lie, it's been a little bit tough, actually. I think a lot of my friends are also in the same position as I am, that we live alone. Some people, if they're lucky enough to still have a job, they're working from home. And it's just missing that interaction. Even giving somebody a hug can be quite tough because there's only so much you can do on video call. But it's been okay. I have good hours and bad hours, and I think the majority of people right now are feeling the same.
I think you're absolutely right, yeah. I'm not sure if you just saw that. We got a little flash up there of a wedding photo. Carol, I was mentioned that you were best known for probably some of your earlier TV jobs. Wheel of Fortune, that came straight after a successful modelling career for you.
That was a real weird one because I had never thought about being on TV. It never even occurred to me. The producers of Wheel of Fortune, which was made in Glasgow at the time, cast for the hostess. I went for it. I got to the final 10, and then they didn't choose me. They decided to break the mold and go for a girl of colour, and not in sort of blonde, suntanned look. And after a year, they obviously decided that wasn't the look that they wanted to go for after all, and came back, and I got the job then. Weird.
It was a very, very glam production, wasn't it? I know you had Taylor Ferguson in the well-known Glasgow hairdresser doing your hair. There was no expense spared.
No, there was no expense spared, and we filmed 5 shows a day for 5 days. So, yeah, 25 shows done in 5 days. It was a very strange existence. And I actually think I only got the job because I wasn't very tall compared to the other models, because the hostess had to be smaller than the host. And I'm not saying Nicky Campbell's small.
You're saying he's toty.
But, no, he's not toty. But when you put heels on and your average model is 5'9", then it's a problem. So I actually think it wasn't anything to do with anything other than my lack of... I'm 5'6". So I'm still saying 5.5, 6, like I care. And yeah, I think that's why I got the job, because A, they didn't have to pay me any travel expenses because I just happened to live in Glasgow, and B, I was short.
Gerry, you've worked with some big names over the years as well, haven't you? You started off in TV working behind the scenes as a producer. Tell us about some of the big names you've worked with. Did you start off at GMTV? Is that right?
That's right, yeah. I first of all started off in the local office in Glasgow. I was one of the news presenters reading the opt-out news bulletins on GMTV in Scotland, and then I moved to London just before GMTV was ending and Daybreak, which was the predecessor of GMTV, started. So I was a reporter producer and an output producer, and it was a really difficult gig because everyone talks about the hours or how early did you get up in the morning? And it's like, actually, I've been here since 10 o'clock the night before. And then you write your show, you go into an edit, and then you brief your guests. But one memorable guest towards the end of Daybreak, which is obviously now Good Morning Britain, GMB, with Piers and Susanna, the presenters when I was producing it were Lorraine Kelly and Aled Jones. And a wee memorable guest just so happened to come in to plug her book one day, and it was Princess Michael of Kent. And I got asked to go down to her dressing room to basically, without being rude, hurry her along and get her into the studio. And I spoke to her book PR, and I went straight into the dressing room and I introduced myself, and she went, "Oh, darling, are you still singing?" And it took me a while to twig. She thought I was Aled Jones. Now, I know I just did a night shift, but there's a few years between Aled and I, and we are friends, so I can say that. But it took a little bit of explaining, and when I referred to myself as the producer, she was just like, "Oh." She didn't care.
Not interested.
She was not interested at all, no.
But let me just introduce some people who are watching, who are saying how much they're enjoying seeing the pair of you here. Susan Ingram and Andrea Black are watching. Lynn Kennedy says hi. Peter Sampson, hi. Isabel Rutter as well. Lisa Coleraine says hi to Carol, great show. Shirley Mullen asking if you're all well. Yes, we're all coping, don't worry. Karen Fleming, looking forward to seeing you, Gerry, when all this is over. Wendy McNeil also watching, and Douglas Gillespie. Ian Henderson, would Carol come back to present Changing Rooms if it was revived? We miss it and we miss her.
Good question. If Changing Rooms in its as it was with the whole team came back, absolutely. You know, I'd be sharpening my elbows to make sure it was me. But I just don't think that's ever going to happen because television's changed so much. We were the very first reality TV show. We didn't know it at the time, but we were. And I think it's moved on so much from that original guise as it was that I don't think you can go back to that. There was a naivety to it. People took part in it really genuinely not knowing what they were getting involved in. And that's probably what was the kind of key ingredient, you know. But now we're quite savvy about these things. You go, well, here we go. They're going to hate blue. Guess what color they're going to paint it. So yeah, I just don't see it working in the same way. We did have a reunion though about 4 years ago. We all met up in a hotel in London, and it was amazing. We do a few of us keep in touch.
Oh, because it was lovely. You had Handy Andy, Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen,
Linda Barker,
Linda Barker.
Graham Wynne, Anna,
You were all such warm, familiar faces that people didn't necessarily like what you did, but people did love.
What are you saying, Rachel?
I'm trying to be quite delicate. There was a hell of a lot of stenciling and terracotta walls.
Oh, we loved a bit of a rag roll, didn't we? Actually, when we watched it, when we had the reunion. Sometimes, but actually they very quickly realised when it went wrong, it was better. It was better, you know, people kind of... In fact, there's a woman who was on Changing Rooms, one of the major disaster programmes, who just keeps popping up on every other programme. And I noticed she's on that programme now. What is it, about 5 guys that come and live with you and you choose one of them to be your date? What's that called?
I don't know.
5 in a bed? 5 in a bed?
No, 4 in a bed. 4 in a bed is the... Anyway. I just thought,
that's wishful thinking, Gerry.
Yeah.
I'm living alone, guys. I'm living alone.
Oh dear. Owen Shearer, by the way, our next door neighbour, is watching this. Owen, can you get your kids off the trampoline next door? It's very, very noisy. We can hear them in the shed. So Owen, if you're watching, go and get outside. You got your mention. Get outside. Gerry, things go wrong, as we saw with Changing Room. Things go wrong in TV all the time, don't they?
Maybe. I can't. I've never done anything live.
Did you enjoy doing live TV? Because you spent your time behind the camera and doing very serious news as well as a presenter. And then you presented live at 5. There you are with the king and queen of the chat. We've got Lorraine there with you in the middle, and Ross as well, and Eva Longoria. You must have loved live telly to have stayed in it so long.
I did. I think one of the not to go down memory lane too much, but I was pretty successful behind the scenes when I was in London, and I was also getting some reporting shifts with ITV News, and that's where I first met you, Rachel. And I was doing okay, and I was happy. And then an opportunity came to move back to Glasgow to launch a TV channel. And at first, when I thought about it, and I spoke to the exec, who's brilliant, and I thought, nah, I'm not going to do this. I was having a great time in London, and the second I moved back and people could see what I was doing, they were like, is there any jobs in Glasgow? Like it looked great and it was fantastic. And having the opportunity to do live TV back at home was fantastic. And as you just saw, we saw Lorraine and Ross King. So that was at the end of the STV Children's Appeal, which was really good. But also, I think a highlight for me was meeting one of my best pals in real life is Laura Boyd. And we did our own entertainment show. We were granted our own entertainment show. And one of the highlights, we got the only UK interview with Desperate Housewives star Eva Longoria. Lovely. So lovely. I had a really good time doing it, but it'd be interesting just even like what we're all knowing, like we've been there and done it. Would I like to go back and do it? I don't know. But it didn't always go smoothly, and there was always a few minor mistakes that I did on prereqs that hopefully don't still exist. But, you know, it's also good telly.
Carol, were you ever tempted to go down to London? And because you're a Glasgow girl through and through, aren't you? Born and bred here. Mm-hmm. Were you ever tempted to go down and move your life down there?
I might have under different circumstances, but because Wheel of Fortune was a national programme and it was the very first show I ever did, no one ever questioned that I lived in Glasgow. They were happy to pay flights and accommodation and put me up. And then the second show after that was the holiday programme, which meant anywhere in the world. I mean, Changing Rooms wasn't in London. When time I got to Changing Rooms, it wasn't in London, it was anywhere all over the UK. There was actually no real advantage on any of these shows to be based in London. So it was great for me. I mean, I could just carry on living up here. And the longer it went on, the more I thought, do I want a flat in London? And then I've got to worry about whether getting some milk in, changing the bedding. I'm a wee bit OCD with that kind of stuff. So I just thought it's not important. And actually, when you've got young kids, the desire to bring them up in London just doesn't really work for me.
Well, something that Gerry and I both loved was Strictly Come Dancing. Big fans. And you're talking about being at the very start of things when they happened. You were there just 2 years after it started. What was that experience like?
It was actually series 5 I did. It was an amazing experience, but I did slightly go into it naively. I hadn't really watched the programme. Another one then. Hadn't really watched it that much. And so when they said to me at the very start, just rehearse when you can, not a big problem if you can't. And I'm like, oh, great, that's a great idea. And then you get down to the studio in the first week. Thankfully, it's not a vote-off week. And you suddenly realise Elsa's flat out and rehearsing like a demon. Best laxative known to women. Anyway, I not much use really because you just stitched into your dress as well. So if I was going to get anywhere in this, I was going to have to clear the decks. So the crew came up to Glasgow every week and filmed all the rehearsals. You weren't allowed to rehearse without a crew. And Monday to Friday, I did 8 hours a day. And then Friday night, we went down to the studio in London, did the show on Saturday where I had, a complete amnesia every week, because what you don't realise, you rehearse all week in a little studio in Glasgow, and whether you realise it or not, you subconsciously take in that's the door, that's the window. So we turn at the door, we spin at the window, and then you get down to the studio. It's not a recorded piece of music, it's a live orchestra, and there's no door and no window, and you think so it's terrifying, but amazing in equal measure.
Gerry, does that appeal to you? Because I think if the adrenaline started something, I think you'd be on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. You'd be chomping on anything in the jungle. You'd be up for anything, wouldn't you?
How well do you know me, Rachel? Chomping on what? Oh my God. I've always got this motto in life that I'll try anything twice, just because if you don't like it the first time, just to double make sure you don't like it. But at this moment in time, I'm not sure I could even imagine going back into being in front of a camera. I think I had a really good run when we had STV2, and that gave me such good confidence to go and do other national UK-wide shows as a series producer, which were very successful. And that's the thing. It's kind of like, as Carol was saying, like you kind of have your moment and you go, that was great, but maybe I want to do something else now. But that all being said, if the opportunity came up, yeah, of course I'd probably do it.
Well, let's talk about the changing world of jobs, because Gerry, as you said, you've just been working on big national shows and you had other things lined up. Got some feedback somewhere.
Is that the kids on the trampoline?
It's somebody's headphones. We can't blame the trampoline. Oh, there we go. It's gone.
That's a go.
Gerry, I think it's your headphones. Oh, Gerry, I think you need to plug them back in, perhaps. Ooh. Have they come out? Gerry, can you hear us? Gerry,
we can't hear you, though.
We can't hear you, Gerry. Carol, Gerry, you might want to dial back in and just see if we can re-establish a connection with you. Carol, let's talk about your new career, because you have put the world of TV completely behind you. Tell us about your new world as a humanist celebrant.
I actually put TV behind me quite a long time ago, probably 2012, something like that. I started my own business and then I ran it for about 6 years, sold it, and realised that I could probably do nothing, but that was never really an option in my head. I'm not very good with the lady lunch thing. And yeah, I just always think it's exciting to try something new and push yourself a little bit. You know, what's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? So I had actually met someone who was a celebrant on holiday in Portugal. She was an English girl conducting weddings out there. And I thought, what a lovely thing to do. And actually not a huge leap from what I've always done, writing scripts, speaking in public. And I harboured the thought for many years, actually, in the back of my mind, thinking one day. And then I watched that drama. Do you remember the drama with Ashley, the girl from The Office, Ashley?
Yes, Ashley Jensen.
And it was called Love, Lies and Records, and it was about a registrar's office and birth, marriages and deaths. And she played the part of a celebrant in the drama. And it brought it back to my head, and I thought, I'm going to go and find out a bit more about that. So I didn't even tell my family, not my husband, nobody. And I asked Humanist Society Scotland if they thought that would be a bit weird to have me conducting a wedding or a funeral. And they said some people might think that, but others might actually really love that idea. So why don't you do the training and see what happens? My concerns were, in funeral terms, people thinking it was just some sort of, hidden camera, all singing, all dancing. Oh, it's her off the telly and it's not about the deceased. And that bothered me slightly. Weddings, I thought the brides might feel a wee bit upstaged if people started to realise it was me and think it was interesting. It should really she's the centre of the attention, or the couple are. And anyway, I thought, well, I'll do the training and see what happens. But actually, it's quite an extensive training, and I had to attend a lot of funerals in my training with people I didn't know, like a professional mourner for about months, shadowing other celebrants, and actually just the whole ethos of the job is so different from television in that it's not about me, it's not about even what I have to say, it's about listening to what other people have to say. And the community of my colleagues around me who communicate in a closed Facebook group or a WhatsApp group for the Glasgow area are incredible. These are people who've been doing this for many years, and they're so kind and inclusive and supportive in a way that I've never seen in any other job before. So I was very aware that they would all think, oh, here she comes, she's going to be giving interviews saying in 5 minutes that she's been doing, let me tell you about my job. So I really kept my head down. I didn't do any press or anything, and just got to learn your job, learn your craft and crack on with it. I do get a lot of people saying, oh, my mother would have loved that if she'd known it was you.
Gerry, it's a small world, isn't it? Gerry, can you hear us now?
I can indeed, yep.
Oh, brilliant. It's a small world because we realised that your dearest friend is actually somebody who has worked with Carol, who's also a humanist celebrant.
Yeah, we've got good taste in pals, Carol. My dearest friend, Pamela, who I've known since Freshers' Week at uni, is now a humanist celebrant. She has been for, I think, a little bit longer than you. And she's just fantastic. Yep. She had her own business. She completely changed her life, as you did, Carol, by looking into this, studying. It's a real long slog. It takes a lot of work and a lot of studying. And I can see a difference in her. She finds it so rewarding. And as you were just saying, like, you know, you're really in people at their most vulnerable or the most celebratory, whether that be a funeral, a naming ceremony, or a wedding. And I think both of you are just doing brilliantly. I think it's a great career move. And I just wish I had the patience to do it.
Well, Carol, the nice bit of the job is obviously... We'll come on to your alternative careers in a moment, Gerry.
Oh, God.
The nice bit of the job, Carol, is obviously the weddings and the births. But at the moment, we can see a particularly lovely renewal of vows that you presided over. You like the funerals?
I do like the funerals. I think there's a perception going awful because everyone's crying and they're really upset. My funerals are not like that. I think they much celebration of life. I love to see people smile. Points. Obviously, it is a very sad occasion. It shouldn't all be sad. We should be remembering the great happy times, and actually people really open up and tell you all kinds of crazy stuff that happened in their life, and I love that. It's great.
We've got some nice messages coming in. Douglas Gillespie says, total respect to Carol. What a wonderful thing to have done. Hello to Hilary, who's watching, Sam Taggart, Kirsty Wilson watching, Helen Brown and Judith Brown and Marie Divers as well. This is just a quick random one throwing out to you, Carol. What was the best, this is from Andrew Fitzpatrick, what was the best destination from the holiday programme that you visited and that you would recommend when life gets back to normal?
A couple of places for different reasons. My favourite place is Venice, I think, just because it's so unique, and I wouldn't always be because it looked like it was disappearing when I went, and I've been a couple of times since. And the most place or amazing place I went to was Bora Bora in Tahiti. The holiday said to me, would you like to pick anywhere you want to go in the world? And I thought, really? The BBC don't ask you questions like that. So I said, I'd like to go to Tahiti, thinking they would never say yes. But actually what they wanted me to do was Club 18 before I went. So I did both of them and then got to Tahiti.
Oh, Gerry, we're talking about a complete change of careers. You've had quite a sort of a life-defining moment, as along with the rest of us who've had work cancelled. What's the sort of crossroads that you've come to?
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. I was in a very privileged position that I had a really good show that I was working for ITM Productions down in London. I made a really good series for Channel 5, if I may say so myself. It did brilliantly. And then I was taking January and February off, and I was very lucky in that time that I met my boyfriend randomly in Dundee, and the rest, as they say, is history. So I took January and February off, which was probably the best thing for us to do, to really solidify and put some good foundations in our relationship. And then I interviewed for 2 gigs, and I got both of them. One was an antiques show, and another one was a travel show. So I was booked from March till the end of the year. And so I was working from maybe April to July, then July to December. So it was like, this is amazing. And as a freelancer, as we all know, that never happens. Yeah. Obviously, as everything's happened with COVID-19, on the same day, both those productions got mothballed, and it was heartbreaking. So I made the decision to go to Dundee and bunker down with Nate and see how we get on. And for the first 2 weeks, it was great. Like everybody else in the UK, I was baking banana bread. I was like, cooking from scratch and all this kind of stuff. It was really, really useful, and I really enjoyed it. But then having known someone for 3 months, it was like, okay, we either had a decision to make. I could follow government guidance and come back to Glasgow and try and do something useful, or stay in Dundee. So I made the decision to come back and stay on my own, which was probably the best decision to make. And, I'm a producer, I'm a journalist, I present programs on television and radio, but none of that's really working at the moment. So I needed to think about something that was useful. So the only 2 things I could think of to do was to work in a supermarket or try and work for the NHS, because those are the 2 things that people really need right now. And it was a case of parking your ego at the door and looking for jobs. So I applied for Morrison's, and other supermarkets are available. And I applied to do some support staff work at the new NHS Louisa James Hospital at the SEC in Glasgow, which if they need me, I've now filled in all those applications and do that. Just so I could feel like I was doing something. Because, as I said earlier, some days living on your own, and I know a lot of people watching this are in the same position, you have good hours and bad hours. It's no longer good days or bad days. But I needed to feel like I was doing something. And also, you know, my work was gone for the rest of the year. I had no income coming in, as many self-employed people watching this are, or many people who work for companies who've been furloughed or mothballed. So, yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. I'm kind of doing like kind of service industry work and baseline NHS work, if that all comes off. So, yeah,
Gerry,
that's kind of where I feel I'm doing.
Though, do you think Morrison's are ready for you?
I was hoping you were not going to ask there for a delivery slot, because I know what you're like, McTavish.
I don't stand a chance, but I can imagine you going in there saying, right,
even with your Ann Moore card.
Things up.
I mean, it's been great. It was really humbling, actually. Like, when I started looking into, like, I had to go to, like, the recruitment day and all this kind of stuff, and everyone was lovely. And then having to look at things, I was like, okay, universal credit. Like, you know, I've put into the system, do I qualify for this before I get government support? Because there's, like, a gap. And it was all different walks of life were looking into this. There was a pilot from a well-known budget airline was also applying to work for EasyJet and also looking for universal credit. There was 2 dancers who worked for a well-known dance company that were doing the same thing. So it's like all people from other walks of life. I think for now we need to earn money to pay our bills, to feed our kids, and also to feel like we're doing something. And if you're lucky enough, if you don't have any underlying health problems, and if you're lucky enough that you feel confident enough that you can go out and deliver groceries for 2 days a week, which I'm doing, then do it. Because we kind of need to keep on going, not only for all of us in the area where I live in, but probably for our own mental health as well, because you've got to get out there. You can't just stay in the house, and it can be quite tough if you're alone.
Absolutely, Gerry. Well, let's just touch base with some of our viewers today. We've got Frank Cronin watching. Elizabeth Ellis says, good on you, Gerry. And there's quite a few people. Andrea Bateson saying, well done, Gerry. Hello to Anne Macbeth, who's Simpson, who's also watching. Susie Cormack Bruce, one of your former co-presenters. Well done. Good on you, Gerry. My sister-in-law has finally joined Facebook in order to watch this. It has only taken her... since Facebook launched. I was going to name her age then. Lorna Fraser, well done, Gerry. Good on you. There's a lot of love coming in for you, Gerry, and I think a lot of people in similar positions thinking, yes, they've got to do something. Carol, it's obviously thrown things into complete and utter chaos for all your bookings for weddings.
Yeah. Oh, I've had a lot of wedding bookings that are packing. When it initially happened, actually, one of my in the honeymoon suite, the bride was in the honeymoon suite. The venue, I was seeing that it was all going ahead, and that lockdown was happening, and you still said, "No, well, it's fine. We'll do it tomorrow." Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Carol.
You
I think you're breaking
news.
You're breaking up slightly. Sorry, you're breaking up slightly.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just heard you.
Let's try again.
Carol, you were telling us there about the... Well, let's have a go. You were telling us about the bride who had got a last-minute cancellation.
In the honeymoon, she was in the honeymoon suite the night before the wedding, and then Boris, and I phoned her. She was in floods of tears. You know, everybody arrived the next day. It was awful. Having said that, I've got nearly 60, and having to reschedule so far July, couple yet rescheduled because the venues are saying to them hard for them.
Yeah, Carol, I think we are getting a little bit of distortion on your voice. Don't know if you can move into a slightly better position where you've got a stronger signal.
Signal? Better position.
We'll just.
Is any better? I'm near the door of my.
You're in your shed as well.
I'm in my shed too.
So what's going
but
to
my shed will be better than your shed because I've got.
So what's going to happen to your 60 brides then?
Well, a lot of them, the weddings will stay because they're far enough in advance. I only book 1 year. But for some of them, yeah, they've had to reschedule for next year or for. But it's been frantic, chaotic.
Yeah.
But everyone's in the same boat. So do not panic. Whatever you do, if I can't do it, I call Pam one for me actually. And
Yeah.
there's plenty. We're trained the same way, so don't worry.
Yeah. Carol, we're still hearing you slightly like a Dalek. I am picking up what you're saying, but you're still slightly like a Dalek. Gerry, what's this done for your relation? Yeah, go on, dial back in and let's see if we can get a better signal.
Okay.
Gerry, how's this affected your relationship with Nate or Nathaniel, to give him his proper Sunday name? Has it made you stronger? Because you were still at the very, very early stages of a relationship.
Yeah, this was a weird one for me. This was a really weird one for me because I wasn't looking for anybody. And I was visiting some lovely friends and their baby near Dundee, and I randomly met Nathaniel in the DCA in Dundee. We got chatting. I found him on social media. I slid into his DMs like the young people do, and he just so happened to be in Glasgow the day later, and we went for a drink. And I know my sister's probably watching this and hopefully his mother, but I just thought it was going to be like a festive fling. And 4 months on, I've got a beautiful boyfriend, 2 pesky cats, and a mother-in-law who's brilliant, who's so sweet. But it feels like it's happened really quickly. But when we made the decision for me to go to Dundee and to bunker down, it was great. For the first 2 weeks, I was really worried about not working, about not earning a salary. And we both had ups and downs. But I felt like because we had January and February he works in theatre, so he just came off, I call it a panto run, or the winter special theatre. He had time for us to actually spend time together and really put good foundations in. But being back to Glasgow, as I said, I really wanted to be useful and earn some money and find a job. It's difficult being apart because I miss that wee Dundonian. But we speak every day, and I think if we can survive this is a pretty good testament. We can survive anything, even though he does have 2 pesky cats who are 19
Gerry,
and 17.
If you've managed to survive the cat situation, then then I'm really impressed. I'm not a cat person. Carol, I know you're a big dog fan. Are you a cat person at all?
Yeah, no. But I should just flag up here, Gerry. I do just
Oh, yes, the weddings. Well, Gerry, I believe you've had quite a bit of pressure. You've had quite a bit of pressure from your potential new mother-in-law.
It was one of those really funny things. We talk a lot, and she's the nicest. I'm not just saying this, but she is the nicest woman. She's currently working as a florist. She's a florist by trade, so she's actually quite busy when it comes to things like funerals because she's still doing that. But she's also trained as a nurse and a midwife, so she's the possibility that she might go back into the NHS frontline, which I have the utmost respect for. She's a wonderful woman. But she did us. We had a lovely Sunday dinner out in Dundee, and at the end of the dinner, she just looked at Nate and I and said, "So are we getting grandkids then?" And both of us were like, "No!" It was 3 months in. But I thought it was really nice that she asked. But if you're watching Sue, the answer is still no.
But he is much younger, Gerry.
All right. Thanks so much. Yeah,
Yep.
It is. Yeah, I know. Right, let's get some wine drinking. Yeah, I'm 12 years older than Nate. So when I know, right? So when I turn 40, which is still ages away, he'll be 28, which is quite a bit of an age gap. Okay, it's not ages away, but okay, fine, Rachel. I saw that look, but yeah. But I spoke to my sister earlier, who messaged in tonight, and she keeps on reminding me that age is just a number. And actually, once you meet Nate, you'll probably get that as well. He is like a wee old man. But yeah, it's been interesting because I was always the younger person in a relationship, and I've been single for quite a long time. So now I'm the older one, which is interesting.
Well, I know he works in theatre. How's he feeling about going back to theatre? Because that's been really badly affected as well.
Yeah, God love him. He got furloughed quite early on, actually. He works for a repertory theatre. And he's, first of all, I'm not just saying this because he's my boyfriend. He's exceptionally talented at what he does, and he's done some amazing productions. And I've seen two of them now, before all this happened. And actually, I got tickets for one before I realised that he was working on it. I think as everyone, like, the way that I was saying about television, we've had the same conversation about theatre. I think if you've got time alone, regardless if you're working in telly, theatre, maybe if you're a teacher or even working in a supermarket or whatever you're doing, we've had time to think, is this what I want to do? Or do I want to do something else? And we've definitely had those conversations. I'm sure many couples across the country have done.
Carol, we've got a lovely message come in from somebody who you presided over their wedding celebration. Charlotte Hewitt sent us in this photo. And what's rather nice, I know, Charlotte and her husband and her two boys, and you, of course, there. And what was rather nice was that Charlotte had bought her jewellery from MCTAVISH collection for her wedding, which was a nice touch. So we both had a hand in that wedding.
Small world.
I know.
So I was thinking about her recently because our boys are schooled, and these boys are homeschooled now, aren't they? So she was way ahead of the curve. Good for her.
She was. Everybody else having to currently go through homeschooling. Charlotte's already been there and done that. Well, it's been lovely to speak to you both. Paul's just asking, perhaps, Gerry, will you let Carol marry you and Nate, or would it have to be Pamela?
Sorry, it would have to be Pamela. Sorry. Pamela. The reason being, it has to be Pam. The reason being, we
should be cheaper anyway.
You get that?
Right.
She's watching this, I hope. She's watching this, I hope. Exactly.
Maybe a mate rate.
The funny thing about Pamela, we met when we were first year students. We were freshers, and we were out on Freshers Week, and we were in Nice and Sleazy's in Suckhill Street in Glasgow. And we were getting along really well. We were chatting away. There was a group of us, and I asked her for lunch the next day, and she told my flatmate Helen at the time, "Gerry's just asked me out," and she the next day thought she was going on a lunch date with me. And very quickly she realised that she was on to plums there. So we've been on best mates ever since. So I have to let her marry me with Nate anyway.
Oh, well, thank you.
The old bridesmaid.
Oh, yeah.
Deal.
There you've got it. You have a very glamorous bridesmaid. Thank you both, Gerry and Carol, for joining us this evening. It's been lovely to see you, and thank you very much for giving up your time, and stay safe in lockdown. Lovely to see you guys.
You too. See you guys. Cheers.
Bye.